got some chicken juice on my finger on accident. So let's that off. So I am on here to, first I would like to preface this by saying that, you know, it is important to go to the Holy Spirit when you want answers to your questions. It's important to turn to your Bible. It's important to make sure that you are taking time to pray and meditate and talk to God for yourself, and He's going to give you specific instructions on what to do in your life. But I just am going to share this now because this is something that I needed, that just, you know, applies to my life, and it may apply to somebody else's. So I had a dream that, you know, somebody that I cared deeply about, we were arguing, and we were just arguing so much. And in this dream, we were arguing, and basically the decision that I decided to make was to leave. I'm pretty sure, you know, the dream kind of jumped around a little bit, but just from what I know, because it went from one scene to the next, and I decided to leave. And in another way, the person that I care about decided to leave me as well, in their own way. They didn't physically go and leave how I did. I physically left, but that person, they left me energetically, and that led to me deciding to leave. And so in this instance, like, there was just so much influence from the devil, like from the enemy in craft seasonings. So there's so much influence from the enemy. And so I leave, and then I go to a place that I feel I'm supposed to go to, right? And I feel like God is telling me to go to this place. And in this place, I ended up at a water park. I became a lifeguard. I became a lifeguard, and even though it maybe seems as though I was led to become this lifeguard, you know, I kind of was messing up at it a little bit. It seemed like, because in the dream, I remember there was like 4 kids that went down the slide, and I wasn't able to stop any of them for some reason. Like, some reason in my mind, I was just distracted and not paying attention to what was going on in this place that I was led to, because everything was going wrong where I was at before. But then, you know, so I got my supervisor at the bottom of the water park slides, and they're like, "What are you doing?" Like, "What are you doing?" These kids, they are piling up on top of each other at the bottom of the water slide. And I was like, I was still just distracted. And so, but in this water park, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but so I came here from YouTube Shorts just to ask you if you would eat the water on your head for $400 in the chat. You do not have to do it. Eat the water? What water on my head? I don't know what water is on my head. But yeah, so I don't know if anybody's ever seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but in Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang, which is the, you know, I appreciate it, but you just go ahead and find somebody else, because I'm in the middle of a very important revelation right here, and I'm really just going live to share this specific thing with people. So best of luck to you. Hello, Brazil. Hello. How are you? But yeah, so in Avatar: The Last Airbender, are you saying you want me to drink water on my head? I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass. I appreciate it though. I don't need the money. I'm good. God has got my back. But I mean, I kind of do need money, but not really. Not more than I need God, and I feel like that's just gonna embarrass me. I'm not into any embarrassing things right now at all. Past that. But so yeah, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, there is a big, they call him a flying bison. He's a flying bison, and they only existed in the the air tribe. There's the fire, water, earth, and air. And Aang, he is the last airbender. He's the last airbender. He is the avatar, but he was frozen in a ice block for 100 years, and he didn't expect to be, but that's what ended up happening. And while in this 100 years, there was a whole war that the Fire Nation was ensuing on everybody, while the one person who was supposed to save the world was asleep. And so, once he is discovered and breaks out of this ice block, he ends up, rebuilding his connection with his flying bison, who was also frozen with him. They crashed into water, and then to protect himself, he created a air bubble around them, which froze, and that was why he ended up so frozen and gone for 100 years, because he was protecting himself and protecting his bison. So the bison's name is Appa, A-P-P-A, and in this dream that I had when I was the lifeguard at a water park, seemed like they were like testing out some rides or something. And when they were testing out these rides, I ended up on this floaty kind of thing that in a way just resembled Appa. Like, it wasn't flying though. It was really just only moving on the ground. It was flying. But then, I grew up loving the show Avatar, The Last Airbender, and I still really like it. But just realistically, and there was a point in my life where I kind of like saw myself in a way as Aang. Like, I did kind of see myself like that. As far as like, all right, the powers within me kind of thing, like, the powers. But then in retrospect, if you look at Aang and, him being a monk, and the tribe that he comes from, yes, like I don't oppose anybody who is seeking God in their religion, who is seeking to be a better person in the name of a, God. Like, there's so many people who do not believe in Jesus, but they genuinely do want to be good people in this world, and they do so through their religious practices. And but then one thing that the Bible does teach is that there is only one God. There is only one God that's true and sovereign, and the way to reach him is through Jesus Christ. And so, with that, Aang definitely was not a Christian. He was not speaking with Jesus. He's speaking with other deities, like a completely different set of beliefs, right? So it just made me think about how, lately I've been referring to God as Abba. I've been learning about his name, and people call him Abba, and in the Strong's Concordance, that is his name, Abba, A-B-B-A. So I just got on here to pretty much share that from what I gained in that dream, in the moment and in the midst of my chaos in the world, I decided to go and make a decision to go somewhere else. And this place led to me riding on a big flying bison and his name was Appa. But it wasn't Abba. It was maybe close. It might have seemed like it was the good thing to do, the right decision to make, and it's like, okay, yeah, great decision. It seems like, let me just go and protect myself. Let me just hop on my flying bison and protect myself. But in reality, I was riding on what I gained from it. I was riding with a false god. I was with a false god. And I say this because ultimately, in the end of the dream, I ended up right back where I left from. And when I got back there, things were so much better. The sun was out, it was bright, it was shiny, and everything that both myself and the person that I felt like abandoned me, we both realized that, these other things that we went to just were not worth it. You know, it wasn't it wasn't even what we thought it was. So I just wanted to share that, you know, sometimes not all things are as it seems. Things are not always as it seems. And sometimes we, you know, the enemy comes to divide and conquer. So I'm just at a point in my journey and my walk with God where I feel like if I am being led to divide myself from people and create separation and create anything other than just like resolution mindset and fixing things and healing things with people, then it's, at least to me, it's just not from God. And that doesn't mean that I don't get to pick and decide like who I want to be really, really close with and things like that. But I think that it's not a feeling from God to think that we are supposed to be in isolation and to divide ourselves from one another. And I think that in those feelings where you do want to divide yourself or be isolated, then I think, you know, of course you can have alone time, yeah, but when you feel as though like, yeah, I just need to be by myself and never spend any other time with anybody else, then that is not the feeling that we are supposed to have. I'm actually not going to put that one on there. I don't think we're supposed to have that feeling. So, you know, I just wanted to share that because it's important to share that dream. Yeah, like that's the conclusion that I've come to from after I had it on April 4th. I believe it's the 7th now. And after spending some time thinking about it, and, you know, I was like, all right, a part of me thought like, all right, well, maybe I'm supposed to go become a lifeguard. Like, that was my first initial thought. But then after spending more time thinking about it, I was like, no, I think actually God is showing me that with me choosing this route, I would be choosing something that's not of Him. So, you know, always have faith, love people even when they don't love you. And if there are rough moments that you are going through in relationships, with friendships, you know, pray for them. Understand that nobody comes into this world evil. Like, nobody comes into this world evil. Only bad life experiences cause that in people. So just continue to pray for people to heal and to see them do better in the world. Thank you, Bryce, for the subscription. So, you know, that's all I have to say right now. I am cooking for the man I love. So I'm gonna finish that up because he needs to eat dinner early tonight, and he's made that so clear to me because I finished dinner a little late yesterday and he was so grateful for me still, and he's been so kind and so patient. But yeah, I'm gonna get this done early today. So bye everybody, and I'll see you next time.